Okay, okay. Even I can't be taking much more of that music. Whoa. How's it going, Mr. Joe?
I was doing all right until that music.
And yes, the
Bum,
third,
bum, bum,
the third amigo
bum.
is back. How you doing, Shrek?
I am doing pretty damn well, actually. So,
How is it? What is the experience like getting any appendage amputated? I gotta know. Like, what do you have to go
You don't
through?
have to know, you sick bastard. You don't have to know.
Oh, I do though. You don't often get to talk to amputees, and when it's kind of one of those things that you're just, I don't know. I gotta know. So what do you have to go through to do it when it's not like a crisis amputation? You know what I mean?
yeah. So, like I was gonna say, it depends on the circumstances, I guess, in which you're getting the amputation.
Okay.
Right. So in my circumstance, it was circulation issues that ended up leading to more complications, which ended up leading to infection, which ended up, causing lots and lots of pain. And
did it ever get gangrenous?
It was close.
Close.
Yeah. It was pretty much like a rotting piece of meat, hanging on. It was pretty gnarly. I
got to imagine that's got to be extremely painful.
Yeah, very, very, very painful. Very painful. And that's why I got to the point to where I was like, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm gonna have to just go and get this taken care of. And the best way to handle that is to just have them take it off.
So is it something that the docs had identified a while back to say like, hey, this is coming down the pipe?
Yeah, see, I had the same thing happen in my other leg or my other foot back in 2013. And the surgeon at the time, he was kind of weighing the option if he just wanted to go ahead and take the other foot.
Yeah,
even
right.
though there's nothing wrong with it at the time. And he decided not to. But he told me, look, he said, down the road, eventually you're probably going to end up losing that other foot down the line. So that was always something that I knew was going to be happening at some point. And sure enough, I've been trying to manage this for like 2 years. It's just been up and down. Sometimes it would get a lot better and it looked like everything was going to be just fine. And then it would just nosedive again and go downhill. So, I just,
no more of that.
Nope.
No more of that. No more of that. And
life is better then. Would you say then?
Yes, and you would think, for somebody that just came out of surgery, I mean, literally, it's been just like 3 days.
Yeah, right. And you're like, la 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 la.
Oh, I feel so good. I mean, it's like a weight has been completely lifted off my shoulders, and like a whole section of bullshit has just been removed from my head.
Wow.
Yeah. You really don't realize how much of a head fog and how much your mental state is incapacitated whenever you're dealing with chronic pain.
Yeah.
Until it's removed. And then there's like this level of mental clarity that you're like, my mom said that like whenever we left the hospital and I was going home, I was like, man, I feel, she said I almost looked wild-eyed. Like there was this like sparkle in my eyes or something that I just was
like an energy.
Yeah, like an energy, like a crazed energy I had. So, I just want to thank everybody out there who like sent me love and support. I really appreciate it. To my family for, sticking by me through all this stuff. And also, the medical team, my surgeon, Dr. Dunshee, and the whole surgical team. I mean, they were absolutely fantastic, and they did an outstanding job with this. It actually kind of blows my mind how good I feel. You know, like right now, just sitting here, I don't even feel like any pain from the actual surgical wound or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just the only issues I have are when I'm like transferring and moving around. Then you got that severed bone in there that's kind of moving around until some tissue builds up to cushion that. So that's got a weird feeling, obviously, whenever you're doing a little moving, but it's really nothing. The pain issues I'm dealing with now with the surgical wound are nothing. They pale in comparison to what I was dealing with before. So yeah, I'm back on track, and I'll be at 100%. I think very, very soon, a lot sooner than I anticipated. I really thought I was going to be down for quite a few weeks, and look, 3 days later, here I am.
Very good.
So
You're already, I mean, that's what myself and Joe seen as soon as you came on camera tonight. You already look so much better, dude.
So much better.
Yep.
I feel so much better. I feel a lot better.
And already you're getting little phantom pains, you were telling me. That's something you hear about all the time, right?
Phantom pains. Well, I call them phantom sensations. Sometimes they're pains, sometimes they're just weird sensations. And I actually still get them in the other leg. And it's just something that I think you probably deal with for the rest of your life after that. But the human brain is such a weird thing. Like right now, I kind of have the sensation that my pinky toe is itching. Like I have an itchy pinky toe, but that pinky toe does not exist. So, phantom pains and phantom sensations are really, really strange, really weird. And if you do any kind of research into that kind of stuff, it's very interesting. I remember seeing a thing where some guy had his finger amputated, and they put his hand on an electrical kind of electromagnetic device that kind of picks up your aura or the electromagnetic spectrum around your body. And even though his finger was amputated, that electromagnetic spectrum still picked up his finger that was missing. So I think there's more to the phantom pains than just nerves. I think your body actually produces an electromagnetic aura around itself, and that even when you're missing a limb, you still have that energetic field around where that limb used to exist.
Oh, hey, that's an idea. Think about that, Kev. That's pretty interesting. Like there's almost like a shadow left behind.
I think it makes sense because in the end of the day, everything, absolutely everything, only exists in our own mind.
Right.
I mean, even
somebody in the chat said, was it Carillion photography?
Yeah, that's the name of the thing you're on about. Yeah, that's where you can see like the light force, they call it, coming off plants. And
right,
it's really cool. Right. Yeah. In fact, yeah. I think there's something in that. I definitely think there's something in that. And again, I think that's how sometimes you can. It's almost cliche. You talk about how one person walks into the room and it can really lower the atmosphere. I think that's all of our energy fields are picking up on a really bad juju frequency.
Yeah.
Yep. So these things are everywhere. We might not be like tuned into them. We might not really appreciate them. It makes you wonder if ancient humans were able to tap into these things more back when they were using science that we can't even replicate today, i.e. the pyramids and all that good stuff, man. But Joe, got a story to kind of start off tonight, and it's an update on something that you introduced to me, first of all. I must admit, I thought to myself, there's not really much to see here, but it would appear there's something really weird going down in the DR, dude.
Is that right?
That's the
10th.
So
you think that there's well, I think there's certainly more to it.
Okay, let's take a quick listen to this then, right? Then we'll discuss it because I mean, it started off, it was just like 4 people, I think, when you first told me. So as we can see here, CNN, it's up to 10. We're just going to listen to about 30 seconds of this or so, get the idea, and then we'll get into it.
Headlines over the past few weeks, American
Can you hear that?
in the Dominican Republic
Nah.
under what their families
Little low.
Nah, forget it then. We don't need to watch it. It says here, a man from New York died while vacationing in the Dominican Republic earlier this month. That's according to the U.S. State Department official, making him the 10th American tourist to have died during or after their stay in the Caribbean nation. Now, the official confirmed the death in response to questions from CNN about media reports regarding the man, whose family said he suddenly became ill and died last Monday. Now, the State Department official did not offer details on the man's identity or cause of death, but a family member identified him as Vittorio Caruso of Glen Cove, Long Island. Now, Caruso's sister-in-law, Lisa Marie Caruso, told News 12 Long Island that Vittorio Caruso died after suffering, get this, because this was the same as the last time, respiratory distress and possibly a heart attack while on vacation. So that's another one, and that's us up to 10 now. And I was watching Jennifer, I think it's Veterans for Truth, her channel's called, the other night. She's been covering the Ebola stuff and all the rest of it over in the Democratic Republic of Congo. But there's something weird going on down in the DR, boys. Something very, very weird. What's your take on this now, Scotty, Joe, now that it's ongoing?
I was kind of following this while I was in the hospital because, you have nothing to do but lay there and watch watch mainstream media on the TV, and they were talking about more of these mysterious deaths occurring. And my thought is I think this is just my take on it. I think they're poisoning these people and that they're trying to trigger like a heart attack or to make it look like it's a heart attack, however they're poisoning them. And then I think what they're doing is after these people pass away, they go into their hotel rooms and they take any cash or valuables that they have on them before reporting the death. Because how are you able to know what they had on them? You know what I mean? How are the authorities or anybody able to know how much cash these people were carrying with them and what valuables that they had on them? So I think that they're poisoning these people, they're cleaning them out, and then after they clean them out, they report that they're dead or whatever. I think that's what's going on there, but I don't know. There may be something more to it. What's this take with the person looking into the Ebola stuff? Or are you thinking it's some kind of a...
Could be a serial killer.
I think it's the Drano killer.
You think so?
Yeah,
I think
do.
it's a serial killer.
Yep. Detergent Dan or something like that, we need to call him.
Only because of like it happens at a hotel. It's like the mini bar bottles, that kind of thing. So I can't imagine. And then people drink it without noticing it. So there's got like tainted alcohol or something. Weird.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I think they're just poisoning these people. They're waiting for them to die in their hotel room, and then they go in there and they clear them out. They take any cash that they're carrying with them. They take any valuables that they're carrying with them, and then they report the death. And they're like, "Oh, this guy had a heart attack in his room." And like I said, there's no way to.
No way.
Yeah, and there's no way to even know what valuables they were carrying with them because they don't. How do you even know that? How do you know that some guy's carrying 5,000 in cash?
You don't, but a good thief will look and find the clues and all that kind of stuff, and
that's what I'm
kind of pick out people out of
crowds. That's what I'm saying, is that the authorities or anybody else wouldn't know how much the person's carrying on them. But if you're targeting tourists and that they probably are carrying cash on them, carrying some kind of valuables. I mean, yeah. So it's a way of being able to rob somebody without, who's going to report that I had 5,000 in cash stolen. Well, no, you're dead. So there's no way for you to report that.
Well,
you know,
the bodies haven't been released. That was one of the strange things I was hearing last night. You would expect the bodies just get kind of, well, investigated and sent home. According to Jennifer, her report, they've been holding on to the bodies. Now, if that's the case, then it could be that they suspect some serial killer, right enough. There could be some
perhaps.
connection between the deaths. Or, I don't know, there's something weird. There's a weird kind of feel to it, man.
I think this operation goes a little higher up than just employees at these.
You think so?
places. Yes, I think that possibly the police are involved in this. Local police. Possibly the management running some of these resorts and hotels.
There could even be something political to this, because if you can affect the tourism to the country, then the government at the time, they're going to get a bit of pressure put on them, and that could be enough to take that. I don't know nothing about the politics in the.
Well, I mean, think about it though. If you have like a good, almost like how the receptionist or something could tip somebody off.
Mm-hmm.
That these people got money.
Mad Whistles,
and that kind of
Mad
thing.
Whistles is in the chat. Whistles is in the actual chat.
Really?
Yeah, Whistles. Stroney. I know it's his pseudonym. That's his kind of double agent name, Stroney. Whistles in the chat room. Yes.
Like I think it goes beyond just some disgruntled employees. I think maybe that there's this operation being run by either hotel management or these resort management, and I think that they are also in cahoots with local authorities and possibly even judges there or something like that. And that
can we call him the DRD killer?
The DRD killer.
Yeah. Dominican Republic Drano killer. You got to give them a good man.
Kill.
But is it Drano? They're using Drano in that?
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Bleach. I mean, it can be found in any kind of cleaning solution, probably. I mean, bleach.
Or lye, see, that's the thing. Is it tasteless? I mean, here I am thinking somebody's making a drink out of a mini bar, and you put it in there,
and again, is it one of those mad? Is it one of those crazy cults? The whole MMS thing going on?
That's what I'm thinking is that it's probably more like that, maybe. Only because people would taste that, I would imagine. If it's bleach.
Oh, well, I mean, when people start getting drunk and getting really, after about 6 or 7 shots, they're not really concerned about what anything tastes like at that point.
I know, I guess to a point, but bleach has a very, very different. I don't care how messed up you are, you have to be seriously messed up to drink.
I think they have they've been doing this long enough to where they know how much to add, and how much, and what kind of a drinks can kind of cover up the taste enough to where they can slip it in on someone without them realizing it. And like I said, they can see that the person has probably already had a few, that they're already kind of drunk and tipsy. And then they're like, all right, let's go ahead and give them this one, give them the one with the,
yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know, but it just seems to me like there would be, the smell alone would probably turn me off. I don't care how out of sorts I am. Bleach is bleach.
You see, that's why there's something kind of weird to this, man.
Something fishy about
Maybe
this.
they get the whole kind of scopolamine beforehand. Ooh, kind of zombied into the room, dude. I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead and drink that bleach. Okay. I mean,
you
that's
would
basically
think
what you do on that stuff, right?
You would think it would have affected the tourism by now. But people have been sick, ghoul-like individuals. It's probably increasing tourism. They're probably flocking to the place to see what's going on, man. No, man.
Yeah. Like thrill seekers are like, let's go down there. Maybe I'll get the drink.
I went to the DR in 2019 and lived.
Like that was a stupid T-shirt.
Well, my God, this bottle of Clorox.
Well, right, that is a mystery, and we're going to go into another mystery now. And it's I know we've all spoke about this before. fascinating stuff. But these people that go missing in the national parks. Now, the main man that investigates this is somebody called David Polides. He's an ex-cop, and he's got a new movie coming out on this topic, and it's all to do with the hunted. So we're going to watch a bit of this trailer. We're going to discuss what we all think happens to these people that go missing in the most mysterious of circumstances. And bear in mind, hunters, it's not as if these people are city slickers just escaping to the forest one weekend and don't have a clue what they're doing. These people are really, really kind of astute when it comes to being out in the wildlife, being out in these locations. They're not stupid people, so we've got to really beg the question then. If these skilled navigators are getting lost without trace, what the hell is going on? Check this out. Ooh.
Ooga booga.
Generally speaking, hunters are very experienced and knowledgeable outdoorsmen. And so when one vanishes, you know something unusual has occurred.
As a hunter, you're like, I'm fine, I'm armed, I'm safe. There's no reason for why these people go missing.
That's a good point, though, Joe. You think about it. These boys are armed to the teeth. Do you know what I mean? Especially the hunters out there.
Absolutely.
So you would think if it
And
was...
well trained, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Found anything. Not the walkie-talkie, not his gun, nothing.
Obviously, an animal didn't get to him because there'd be a big scatter. It'd be easy to find.
The FBI doesn't investigate missing adults. So then why would the FBI arrive on Tom Messick's case?
When you see hundreds of victims scattered throughout our national forests and
I mean, that map there alone, that's pretty weird. And I mean, we've talked before about how he's tried to get, like with Freedom of Information requests, the lists of the people that are missing, and you just can't get them. Why? Why cover that kind of shit up? That makes it even more mysterious if you ask me. I mean, why not just tell them there's a list of them?
national parks. You have to question the reality of it.
So he could have made fire. He had a gun. He could have signaled help. What happened to him?
I'd like to know, but I don't think we ever will.
Whatever it is big, and we started recording them.
Frequencies go way above and way below the abilities of
Oh, man.
I look, I'm thinking, what is this thing in the trees? It went from like tree to tree, and then it disappeared.
Oh.
Is it possible for an 82-year-old man to simply vanish while sitting alone in the woods? Can a man with severe hypothermia hike 6 miles through snow with no shoes? This is one of those recurring phenomena. It's going to happen again. It's just a matter of time.
None of it makes any sense.
Yeah, so that's a new movie that's going to be coming out, folks. I mean, that was just released there on the 3rd of June.
You're back.
Did you hear that, dude? That sounded like it was some big thing running through the forest, man.
Jumping from tree to tree. Going to get you.
Right, all
What do you
joking.
think it is, dude? You think it's you think Bigfoot's getting the revenge?
I think there's something weird that happens in concentrations of trees. There's weird kind of magnetic thinning of the veil, stuff beyond even our language can explain, Joe. Weirdness happens in the forest. Weirdness.
I would say.
Big time, dude. And people will laugh. I mean, you know what I mean? What the hell is Kev Baker on about? But there's some weird shit goes on in forests, man. There truly is. We've spoke about it before. And some of the stories I was listening to today, David Polides, he'd been on Coast to Coast again recently, Scott. And one of the cases he mentioned there was the guy walking 6 miles in frozen snow and ice and no boots on. And by the time they actually done the autopsy on this dude, he'd actually walked until it was just bone, you know, all the flesh basically worn off the foot. Now, that's not right, but he was also talking about another one where the dude was found with, like, his pants round his knees at a tree. And then the rest of his clothes, like a couple of miles away, folded up perfectly out on a rock in the middle of a river.
It's weird. It's weird. You know, I don't think we can chalk this up to just one thing.
No, definitely not. Dude. No.
I think it's a combination of all kinds of weird shit going on in the forest, you know. Everything from, you know, the kind of logical explanations, like probably animal attacks and, you know, people being dragged off somewhere by a predator, all the way to like the weird, you know, if you want to go into complete woo, you know, I think some of these people have possibly walked into areas where you have like a natural portal or something open up and boom, they disappear. They go missing, you know. And, you know, you talk about, you know, what you just talked about with like these people's clothes being missing and just, you know, weird stuff like that kind of makes me think of that whole thing that happened in Russia. Remember the Russian campers or hiking thing that happened back in the 60s, and then it was like the Russian government got involved and they found like these people that looked like they were mutilated or something like that. You know, I don't know. I just think that there's so much stuff, you know, there's so many different things going on. I don't know. I don't
Somebody
think we
in the
can
chat
just
room
really
mentioned fairies and the fae, and I've spoke about that before up my way, and they say if you hear music in the forest, never go near there because it could be a fairy circle. And again, that's just one thing that I add to the whole list of weirdness and supernatural stuff that goes on in a forest. And then
there's plenty of it, no doubt.
Yeah, you start bringing in somebody like Stamets, guys, Paul Stamets, the scientist, and he talks about mushrooms and things like that. You look at that forest, that entire ecosystem, all of that's connected together. It's like a living entity that you're actually stepping into. It's like walking into an organic consciousness, you know? It's kind of weird, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it. And I bet you some of these deaths are weirdos. They're probably kind of wild mountain dudes, serial killer dudes. I'm quite open to some of that. Absolutely.
Yeah, yep. Exactly. I think it's just a combination of all kinds of weird shit going on.
Yep.
You know, the forest is an unmonitored area where you just don't know what's going on out there. Like you said, you could have some crazy people living out there. Like you said, a serial killer kind of situation. You could have, I mean, it's just you can't chalk it up to one thing, man.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless, dude.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless. And I think that's why you see so many people go missing, because you're, you know, it's almost like, okay, you're going to go into the forest. Let's roll a dice and see which horrific end to your life is going to occur when you're out here, you know? I mean, because there's so many different things. Like I said, from predator animals to who knows, you know, the aliens might be coming down and abduct your ass, or you might fall into a portal, or Bigfoot might decide to drag you off into the bushes somewhere and have his way with you. I mean, you never know, man. You do not know.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. So, Joe, what do you reckon? All of the above? Just a weird place, man. Weird energies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think each of those places probably have, like you say, like a unique energy that allows for that kind of stuff to happen. And maybe, you know, and who knows what that is. I don't know what that is, but man, the possibilities are endless.
And then you've got to take into account, what if you have people out there like a crazy cult or something, doing seances and opening up portals and all of that stuff, you know? So you take into the whole thing of serial killers and crazy people, and you mix it in with the paranormal and stuff like that. I mean, you could have like Satanists out there doing sacrifices and stuff like that. So you throw that into it. I mean,
That's where you get
Just
people
don't
like John.
know,
That's where
man.
you get people like John King running about, casting spells and doing all his warlocky type stuff, man. Look at Joe laughing. He knows I'm right. He knows it. He worked with them, dude. You know what I mean?
And the assless chaps. of
And the assless chaps. Never forget assless chaps.
Wizards' assless chaps are powerful indeed, and you must be careful not to mess with them. Of anything, out of anything the wizard owns,
Well,
never.
My mother says,
Never.
seemingly the forest floor moves in front of your eyes. And Scott explained that one to us before. Remember when we were talking about how the trees fall over, Scott, and you kind of see the forest, the floor rising up and down.
Yeah,
and
it's like it's breathing on.
Yeah, it's like wind and stuff getting underneath it. Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. So like if a tree doesn't completely fall over and it's like partially uprooted, so if it's rocking in the wind, it looks like the forest floor is actually moving up and down.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's some weird
stuff.
woo, man. That is some weird woo. So, Joe, you we were talking about the DNA babies from China last night, right?
Yeah. Well, Japan.
Me love you long time.
Some interesting things going on. It says here, the Telegraph says, Japan sign up for DNA matchmaking as country faces a demographic crisis. Listen to this. The scene resembles a typical blind speed dating event. 13 women and 13 men seated on either side of a bamboo screen in an upmarket Tokyo restaurant are chatting in pairs on strictly timed 3-minute rotations. But the doctor hovering on the fringes in the scientific documents held in the participants' hands, however, offer a hint that this is no ordinary dating event. For everyone attending has undergone a DNA test in a bid to find their best romantic match. Welcome to the world of DNA matchmaking. Forget hobbies and professions, ages or nose sizes. One critical new criteria for finding the perfect partner was recently added to the Japan's fast-paced dating world with the launch of a new service that promises to find love based on genetic compatibility. This dating company called Nazi, which operates 21 branches across Japan, DNA matching works with scientists at the Tokyo laboratory in order to decode the science of attraction and find the perfect match for their clients. So the company staged its first DNA party at a restaurant in Ginza earlier this month, attended by 26 guests.
A DNA party.
A DNA party.
What the hell happened to just, liking somebody, giving them a bit of a flirt, giving them the eye, giving them the Kev Baker
Did you
experience?
see that? Hey, baby, I'll give you some DNA. Come on over here.
Look at my genome. It's a cracker.
Look at my genome.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was attended by 26 guests and resulting in 4 new couples.
Are you sure it was 26 guests or was it 23 and me? Ha boom, boom.
No.
Oh.
With more events planned across the country, including a special DNA cruise in the autumn.
Oh, nice.
It's launched timely.
The Love Boat.
That's right. Japan is grappling with something of an epidemic of singles who are unable to find a partner, an issue intrinsically linked to the nation's famously low marriage and birth rates and doing little to help balance the rapidly aging demographics of Japanese society. Earlier this week, new government figures revealed that almost half of Japanese singles who wished to marry were unable to find a suitable partner, with more than 60% admitting that they were not doing anything to change the situation. One of the main reasons for failing to settle down was cited as a lack of opportunities to meet an appropriate partner, a situation most likely made worse by the nation's culture of long working hours. Other reasons range from lack of financial resources to an inability to connect with people, according to the report. And so it's perhaps little surprise that a raft of dating events and matchmaking innovations have cropped up in Japan in recent years, from speed dating in temples for single nuns.
What? Hang on a minute. Speed dating for nuns?
For nuns. The local government-funded matchmaking events in depopulated areas of rural Japan. So even the government is funding dating.
Oh, Japan has got it all going on, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Angie even said there's a significant kidnapping crisis over in Asia. Is that right?
What are they doing? Enticing people over with the promise of an attractive young single nun? This is just craziness, man. On your DNA, you're starting to find partners. On a kind of subconscious quantum level, we're already selecting partners based on our DNA.
I was about to say
that's
that.
why we're attracted to somebody,
Yes, whenever
you figure that out, Scotty.
Huh?
I mean, how does DNA determine that? I mean, I get some things, right? But a lot of interests that we kind of form are based on life experience. And I guess that's why maybe out of the potential 13 matches there, they only had 4.
Yeah, but I mean, some people are like, you know what? I saw that person and I knew that they were the one. You have this like they call a soulmate or whatever.
Right.
And I think it is that
DNA aspect of it.
Yes, I really do. I think that plays a major component in it. I think that your DNA is telling you, look, that person is the perfect match. They are kind of the key. That locks in with your DNA. And so I don't think DNA is the only factor in it, but I think it does play a major role,
Absolutely, Scott. It's
like Kev said, I mean, that's pretty much what we're doing anyways. When we find somebody attractive, when we find somebody aesthetically pleasing to the eye,
AOC,
that's our
AOC, dude. There's something about her DNA that I just can't get enough of.
Oh my goodness!
But it's almost like a quantum kind of puzzle, and to put it into some kind of imagery, if you're one shape, then that's that
You're saying
one
like
person,
square peg in a square hole.
that
type
one
of thing?
person who's going to be compatible, all of the the bits that's going to mold into your shape, they'll go perfectly together. That's the one you recognize, and that's the one that gives you that little kind of feeling in the gut. That's where it comes from. I'm sure of it.
So is this necessarily a bad thing then? Because if we're already kind of making that decision, if we're already looking at a person and we're making that decision based off of genetic traits, or our minds are telling us subconsciously, that person is the right person for us.
Isn't this a form of eugenics?
If we were to never run into that person, that would be our genetic match, or whatever. I just kind of see this as a way of maybe assisting that.
Isn't this isn't this a form of like positive eugenics in a way?
Well, I don't know, but maybe
it's like anti-eugenics.
Yeah, right. Yeah, in a way it is. Listen to this. Most people who have signed up so far are as varied as they are clearly convinced that biology can help where romance has previously failed. While ages range from 20s to 60s, the majority of customers are in their 30s or 40s, with slightly more men than women. The service costs 30,000 yen to join, that's 220 pounds, plus 50,000 yen, or 368 pounds, for a DNA test, and further monthly matching fee of 15,000 yen, or 110 pounds. Now, among those who found success at the recent DNA party in Tokyo was 42-year-old office worker Katsuki Kobo, who has long struggled to find a partner. He says, "I've never been married, but I've been looking for a partner for 5 years now. If possible, I'd like to have children, but I think my age and annual income make that difficult."
Did he say, DNA test me, love you long time?
Well, he says, "I work in the medical field. When I was searching the internet, I saw this new DNA matching service, and I thought this could be an entirely new and different way to look for someone. The results for Kubo, so far at least, appear to be positive." Describing a DNA match he made at the party, whom he's now dating, he added, "From the very start, I felt that we'd met somewhere before." Scotty, "It may have been the peace of mind from knowing that our DNA was a match, but our opinions and values are very similar, and I believe I've met someone I can truly enjoy spending time with," which is interesting, just like you said, Scotty, that almost that sensing or that chemistry. It's the chemistry, right? Don't we say that all the time?
Yep.
You know? right? So I think you're absolutely right. That plays a huge role.
I just think it's a major piece of the puzzle. You know, like I said, it's not the whole piece of the puzzle, but it's a major piece of the puzzle. If you find somebody that kind of matches, you know, your genetic profile, I guess you could say, or whatever, that's a major component of it. But I also think things kind of like your
penis size, for example. I think that has a lot to do with it.
Think of it this way, right? We'll go back to this. This is Carillion photography. This is the stuff Scott was talking about, right? So if we've got a field
sitting there,
if we've got a field, but if we've got a field like that, right, and we admit we're electromagnetic beings, and that's why we pick up on that oppressive frequency when the bad egg walks into the room. Well, obviously, this field that we've got, it's encoded with many messages, and our DNA must be in there as well, and that's why there's that instant compatibility. That's why there's that recognition.
So what are you
it's almost
saying,
like an energetic handshake.
My testicles. Is that what you're
saying?
In
the quantum realm, Joe, yes, I electrically probe your testy sack, yes. Your weenus skin.
I just saw two bowls with an energy field around it.
You see, I was almost being all kind of cool and scientific there, and you just had to try and derail it, dude. I was going through quantum handshakes of the soul and things, man. It was really good woo. You know?
Funny, man.
Damn, but that stuff's pretty cool, man.
Kev was going for quantum handshakes. Joe was going for quantum hand jobs.
Yes, exactly. He was looking for a happy finish to the story. Trust Joe.
But yeah, like I said, I mean, no, you're right. You know, like we have this energetic field. I think that's sort of look, right? Our DNA.
Well, that dude, he's like the Hulk.
You know, isn't our DNA essentially an antenna?
Yeah.
We receive and put out, you know, energetic fields, you know, frequencies and stuff like that. So, you know, you're showing
That's
this
interesting. These auras are very interesting, you know, and I wonder as far as, you know, there's so much more to this. I think that we're only scratching the surface on, really, truly. And it just wonder, like, when it comes to soulmates and things like that, is it truly that, like you said, that ability to basically decode each other, almost like you're tuned to the same frequency?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe so. I definitely believe so.
Yeah.
And I also think, you know, things like your birth sign also has a lot to play in it too. I mean, because, like, you know, I'm a Pisces, right?
Fish.
And yes, I'm a fish.
Yeah, right.
And everybody I've met that have been Pisces have a lot of the same kind of personality traits as I have. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so there's definitely something to that. You know, a lot of, you know, you get people who are like, oh, you know, astrology and horoscopes, that's all poo-poo, you know, it's all, but no, there's too much to that. I've seen way too many synchronicities between people with the same sign as me.
Look at these royal families, Scott. They do all their rituals when planets are aligned and things like that.
When it comes to astrology, you know, astrology as it pertains to understanding people's personality types and, you know, compatibility, I think that is probably one of the most powerful and effective ways of understanding things. Like, for example, Ange would never, ever go near anybody that's a Taurus because she knows that she's totally incompatible with Tauruses as a Leo, right? Yeah. So instantly, she doesn't even go anywhere near anybody like that, really, because she knows there's going to be a rub. And it's always been that way. Ooh, we got a super chat. And we missed it.
No, I haven't. Mars methane found, proof of recent alien visit. Now, you were talking about this yesterday, Joe, and more and more we're starting to get scientific kind of stuff coming out about Mars.
Yeah.
And when it comes to a methane kind of detection like that, I remember myself, I think it might be myself and Scott actually covered this before, and it was quite strange because they detected methane in the same spot twice, exactly the same time, you know, a year apart at one point. And if there is any kind of microbial bacteria just under the surface and things like that, and some of that ice on the poles are melting, perhaps that could be giving off methane. That could be, you know, that's one of the things we would be checking for if we're looking for life. So who knows? Maybe it is though. Maybe the aliens have been there. Maybe the blue chickens pulled up. I don't know, dude.
But what if it's a silicone being or a silicon being that doesn't fart?
Well, that wouldn't explain the methane then, would it, Joe?
Right, but that's what I'm saying is we're looking for life or evidence of life.
No. But we're not looking for anything here. We're taking what evidence we've been given, which is a methane burp. Okay, and from that methane burp, well, what could the possible causes be? Now, I don't know. Maybe silicon life forms do fart on Mars. I don't know, dude. Maybe they do.
What about Venus, whose atmosphere is heavy in methane?
Do you know the Nazis were really into Venus, dude? See that Castle Wolfenstein game we played back in the day?
Yes.
Well, there's things in that about Venus. There's actually a poster as well about how they wanted to go to Venus. They didn't actually want to go to Mars. They wanted to go to Venus, dude.
Is that true?
Yeah, I'll dig up some stuff on that right now. Yeah, that was like roundabout.
I can think of it in that regard is that, you know, they call that like the sister planet to Earth because of the size similarity.
Here we go. Look, here we go.
And another interesting thing is that Russia was the only country to actually get a photograph off the surface of Venus.
There you go.
Yeah, right.
There's one of their books there as well, Joe. It's like Heading for Venus or something like that.
Maybe that, you know, with their rocket technology and everything else, I would imagine that they had some pretty lofty goals.
Well, it was all to do with that the Thule Society and the Vril.
Yeah. Well, see, they did a lot of astral projecting too.
Yeah. It was all from that kind of channeled stuff they were getting. So I don't know, you know, but that's where they probably would have gone as opposed to Mars. Pretty interesting, dude. Pretty cool. And of course, they had the Nazi bell, man.
Yeah, the Nazi bell. Yeah. Maybe that was their flying saucer to Venus.
I definitely think that was their attempt at some kind of anti-gravitics, something like that.
Well, there's no doubt that the high speed rotating Mercury did that because, you know, World War II, they commonly talked about the Foo Fighters going and wreaking havoc with the bombers over Germany. And those were just the glowing orbs of, and some of them, you know, they bounced off. They didn't have any guns or anything like that, but they certainly wreaked enough havoc flying around the bombers and messing with them that, you know, that did cause some mishaps and things of that nature. So, I mean, they certainly possess technology that A, we're not taught about, and B, was used fairly extensively during the war, but I think more from an experimentation type of thing. Mm-hmm. Because the more you look at World War II, the more it was about perfecting eugenics. We know that from...
they were a scientific-based kind of setup, you know?
Exactly. But you know this because the same families that orchestrated the takeover of our government with the Federal Reserve and things like that were the same families put in charge of a lot of the corporations in Germany during World War II. Like, for example, Paul Warburg was the CEO of IG Farben during World War II, which was ultimately the pharmaceutical company responsible for perfecting the execution manners, you know, and the style of and also the scientific research of like a Joseph Mengele. Mm-hmm. They were and provided all of the support for that kind of stuff. But it was ultimately Americans that oversaw that. You know, the families of the elite banking families of the or the money trust. So the same people, by the way, Scotty, that orchestrated or tried to orchestrate the coup to take FDR out of power. You know, so that didn't work in 1933. Well, let's do this. And then World War II. We'll get our dictator, but it won't be from the United States. It will be from Germany. And that's what ended up happening.
You know what? I think I'm going to go full woo here. You want me to go full woo?
Yeah.
I think that World War II was a war that was unlike any other previous war, right? As far as the technology being implemented in that war. I guess you could say that World War I was the first modern war, I guess you could say, or technological war, but World War II took it to a whole nother level, right? I mean, it was really the first modern war fought with real modern weaponry. Now, I believe that some entities, maybe aliens, maybe something supernatural, felt the need to observe this war or get involved somehow, because they could see the level of advancement that humanity was pushing towards.
Oh yeah, maybe.
You know how we talk about how, we start reaching these critical points in human development, and the man upstairs is like, hey, you're getting a little too big for your britches. You know what I mean? Something's gotta. And I think World War II was kind of one of those threshold moments, right? We developed nuclear weapons. The atomic bomb was developed during World War II. So many rapid advancements in technology occurred during World War II, and a lot of the technology that we ended up seeing in the consumer space that was eventually available to the public afterwards, that was all developed, by the military, by different militaries during World War II. So I'm going full woo here, Kev.
Whoa, yes, go for it.
I was telling Joe, I just said I'm going to go full woo. I think World War II was a threshold moment in human achievement as far as the technology we developed. It was the first truly modern war. We saw the beginning of that in World War I, but World War II took it to a whole nother level. Now, I think some entities of some sort, be it alien or be it supernatural, decided to observe or maybe even intervene, because we reached a level. We reached a level of technological advancement during this time frame that I think somebody had to step in, or something needed to step in or observe or see what was going on with humanity at that point. Because you got to remember, we invented, the nuclear weapon, the atomic bomb was developed during World War II.
I absolutely concur with you, Scott. I do.
Yeah, yes, I think something said, hey, these humans on planet Earth, they're no longer at the point to where they're stabbing each other and shooting arrows at each other, like warfare had been from the beginning.
I'm just scrolling down here, Scott, because this is all a search for the term UFOs and nukes. And there is. See the connection between the sightings around nuclear installations. I mean, even the kind of Roswell of the UK, Rendlesham Forest. The US, under NATO treaties, weren't even supposed to have nukes here, Scott. But yet this is where these UFOs turned up and lights shone down into the silos. The story goes that there was a number of missiles taken offline. And this wasn't just one night. It went over the space of a couple of nights. And we had the famous stories of the soldiers going out there. I've had Larry Warren on the show. I've had Gary Heseltine. We're going to be having the Capel Green. That's a big movie that's coming out later this year that concerns that. But the important thing is, out of all of that, nukes that were not even meant to be here, Scott. And these machines, wherever they came from, whatever they were doing, they knew about them. and they certainly found this a place, a base of interest. And again, whether it's something that this species has experienced in their own past, where they know that we're really playing with kind of fire here, pardon the pun, or whether it's, like you say, they're probably just down here observing and making sure we don't obliterate ourselves, dude. We're gonna have a super coming in a minute, boys. We're gonna have a super.
Yeah, very good.
Yes.
Oh, just a guy.
Just a guy is the man. He is.
Scotty, great to see you, brother. Good back. Good show, dudes. My peeps in the chat. Fire it up. Snoochie boochies.
How cool's that? It's like I've got 2 alert boxes somewhere, and it's like, that's kind of cool. It's kind of trippy, man.
That was way. Not only that, but the AI read Snoochie Boochies.
Yeah, Snoochie Boochies. But yeah, what do you think, Joe? Why is it you see all of these anomalous things in the sky around nuclear installations, stuff like that?
Well,
because
I think maybe some emerging technology for surveillance, perhaps, or otherworldly. There could be so much. You look at, we used the bomb in 1945, and then, of course, soon after you had Roswell, and then it's been kind of a rash of sightings since then, but you don't really see many documented sightings before that, or at least not. It just never got the publicity.
I can't wait till next week.
I also think a lot of these nuclear tests, right? Detonating nuclear weapons, the underground tests, just any of this stuff. I don't think they really understand what that does on a quantum level.
Yeah.
And I think when you're detonating a nuclear weapon, you're punching a hole in the veil. You're definitely opening a portal somewhere.
Yeah.
At that, wherever I guess you could call it the singularity or the exact center point where that nuclear detonation takes place.
You're literally kind of ripping apart space and time, Scott. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And the amount of energy released in that on that specific point, what is that doing? What is that? How is that affecting? And if there's an entity in another dimension somewhere, and we're like all of a sudden causing these holes to be ripped and affecting their, you would think that they would probably want to go, okay, let's go see what these guys are doing, because they're kind of causing a lot of problems. I mean, they're punching holes into our realm. So we,
what does that do? What does that do when you're maybe outside of this dimension? How does that look? That do you know what I mean? That obviously sets off alarm bells somewhere. Some of the kids have got matches. Who showed them how to do this? I mean, imagine being that dude. I have become the destroyer of worlds. No wonder he thought that, dude. Look at that.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about unbelievable power being concentrated in a pinpoint, Exactly. Almost like that black hole, how you've got all that mass shrunk down to that singularity. Then you've got this. Yeah.
And even, you would think that just the detonation of something like that would basically, it would be like setting off an alarm. They would definitely be able to detect something like that.
Look at that.
Being blown up. And yeah, that's by the way, for those who don't know, that particular explosion was called Castle Bravo. That was the largest hydrogen
one. Isn't that the largest one we did?
Yep.
Yeah, that was the largest one we did.
It wasn't what was the one that the Russians did? That was the
Tsar bomb.
Tsar bomber. Yeah. And that was 100 megatons, I think.
And that one's only 15 that we've seen there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that probably contributed to the increase in UFO activity. I think some of these entities decided to show up and see what was going on here and start monitoring. But I also think a lot of the increase in UFO activity after World War II was just military black project stuff going on too. I mean, because
how hard do you think? I wonder how they don't use, or as far as I know, that they don't really use those types of warheads anymore. The biggies, because of
tactical ones now, isn't it? Yeah, it's more tactical, more precision.
But recently, the Poot was talking about having a big 100-megaton behemoth torpedo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would cause a tidal wave.
I'm surprised one of them haven't come up with the neutron bomb yet. I mean, that leaves all infrastructure, all kind of the trees, everything is fine.
Remember, that was like the big talk back in the 90s when I was like in high school, was the neutron bomb, where it just kind of wiped everything out, but it would leave the infrastructure. You know,
you think about it. I mean, Chernobyl. I mean, it's the neutrons that's flying out from that reaction. I mean, that's what's going through everybody like bullets when you hear it on the Geiger counter. You know,
So explain to people, though, like, why is that? What's the difference between a neutron bomb and a nuclear bomb?
There's no radioactive element involved in it. It's clean that way. It's just the neutrons that'll, I assume, that is expelled firing out of you. I don't think it's that nuclear detonation. Doesn't have that payload.
Yeah, you're basically just killing organic matter, and you don't need a massive explosion or anything like that that would destroy infrastructure. It would just wipe everyone out and then leave the existing infrastructure there.
But then, Scott, I mean, what use is that to the deep state, right? These military contractors, they want to come in and build up countries that have been blown the hell out of, dude. There's no money in a country that's left with all the buildings standing and stuff like that. That's no good, man.
Yeah, that's right.
You would hire your contractors to go out there and dismantle the existing infrastructure and then rebuild it.
So,
well,
so
come on, what have we got?
Yeah, here we go.
It says a neutron bomb was defined as a type of enhanced radiation weapon. It's a low-yield thermonuclear weapon designed to maximize lethal neutron radiation in the immediate vicinity of the blast, while minimizing the physical power of the blast itself. The neutron release generated by a nuclear fission or fusion reaction is intentionally allowed to escape the weapon rather than being absorbed by its other components. The neutron burst, which is used as the primary destructive action of the warhead, is able to penetrate enemy armor more effectively than a conventional warhead, thus making it more lethal as a tactical weapon. The concept was originally developed by the U.S. in the late 50s and early 60s, and it was seen as a cleaner bomb.
A cleaner way of killing people.
Cleaner bomb against amassed Soviet armored divisions. And as these would be used over Allied nations, notably West Germany, the reduced blast damage was seen as an important advantage. Now, ERWs were first operationally deployed for anti-ballistic missiles. In this role, the burst of neutrons would cause nearby warheads to undergo partial fission, preventing them from exploding properly. And for this to work, the ABM would have to explode within basically 300 feet of its target. The first example of such a system was the W-66, used on the Sprint missile used in the U.S. Nike X system.
Sounds like a pair of trainers, man.
Sounds like it. It's believed that the Soviet equivalent, the A-135's 53T6 missile, used a similar design.
Okay, big question is, Joe, do you think they've got one? I think so.
I do. Oh, of course they do. They've already said that they do. The weapons were once again proposed for tactical use by the U.S. in the 70s and 80s, and production of the W-70 began for the MGM-52 Lance in 1981. This time, it experienced a firestorm of protest as the growing anti-nuclear movement gained strength through this period. Opposition was so intense that European leaders refused to accept it on their territory. President Ronald Reagan bowed to pressure, and the built examples of the W-70-3 remained stockpiled in the U.S. until they were retired in 1992. The last W-70 was dismantled in 2011. So they did have them, but now they do not.
Yeah, right. We don't. We're not believing that, are we?
Because where do they put it? So they dismantle it, but it's not like they don't have it. They have it. They just dismantled it.
I mean, I've been around the conspiracy world for a while, Scott. We know they've got this. They've got them in like suitcases and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah. They got them. They just don't tell anybody, and they'll just tell everybody, "Oh yeah, we dismantled them." You know,
nothing to see here. Nothing to see here, boys.
Yeah, we listened to your concerns and we dismantled them. No, they got them. They're part of the tactical nuke stockpile we have, and I'm sure probably the UK's got them, and any nuclear power probably has them.
One place that does look like it's been nuked, boys, in the past, in the ancient past, we could look at Mars. Definitely look at Mars, right? And that comes to us, and that brings us to a story today. And I had to bring this up because it made me think of Joe immediately, because Joe's got this thing, Scott, right? Any picture that comes from Mars, he automatically thinks it's like the training ground down here on Earth. So then I come across this story today here. Life on Mars gets a test run in the Utah desert. So
Utah.
So here you go, Joe. This is what Elon Musk, and no doubt when Musk does go to Mars, that people will be saying, it's Utah. They've not gone anywhere.
It's Hawaii. It's Nova Scotia.
I mean, all right, bit of a red hue to that, and it probably would look a bit like Mars. Granted, dude. But, there you go, though. Mars, we've spoke about that before. What about a nuclear war? Having done something to that, and that's why we had to leave there, or somebody had to leave there. That's why we see some structures that are still up there. I'm open to that, dude.
Or maybe it was just like a cosmic event that made the planet uninhabitable.
Maybe when they set off the nukes, they literally did set their atmosphere on fire.
It could be. Or Tiamat.
Yep, that's another one.
There's all sorts of different ways to look at it. But so what was the one I just saw that Disney movie, John, I can't remember the last name of it. But John Carter. That's right, John Carter. What a great concept that was. Here you got Mars, a dying planet, because they basically, for lack of a better term, strip mine the entire planet. They just used all the resources. And so the planet's dying, and but there were civilizations on there as late as the 19th century. And I just found that fascinating, just that whole concept. It was, went by like Marduk or something like that, some kind of different name, but certainly it was
I've heard people calling
way of looking at things.
I've heard people calling, or I've heard people using that term before, Marduk.
Or Balsoon, I think it was, or something like that. But just
Sounds
awesome.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
I really enjoyed that movie. I truly did. It was almost, it kind of reminded me almost of Ready Player One. I don't know why, in a crazy kind of way. Yeah, because over there, John Carter had superhuman strength and all this kind of stuff.
There you go, virtual reality, Joe. Right, we can literally, the three of us, sitting geographically separated, yet we can all go to a Martian colony in VR.
Exactly.
None of the dangers, all of the fun, bit of adventure, Why? Absolutely, dude.
I'll probably be the one to forget to lock the airlock something, and then
get soaked out.
Will you be blown out into the vacuum of the Martian atmosphere or something?
Myself and Joe will get vented. Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
At least we'll be in VR and we can just hit reset. So
absolutely, dude. But the new season of Black Mirror, season 5, the opening episode there, they deal with VR. Quite controversial take on what happens when they're in the virtual reality simulation. They go a bit woke for my liking, but the technology was pretty good. It was just like a tiny little kind of stud, and they just kind of put it on the temple. And then once you got into the game, you just plugged the game into your controller, Scott, and woof, you were kind of out for the count. Your eyes were open, but oh man, you were in the game. So that brain chip, that brain computer interface, that's all we're missing, boys. It's not far away.
getting close.
Very
We're
close.
Getting very, very close to it. You know, I mean, where we see VR now, it's not going to take much of a leap to get to that point. Like I said, you know, we have the goggles now, or the headset, and that's just going to get scaled down.
Yeah.
Then it'll be like a pair of shades.
I reckon it'll be the point you'll have a gaming chair like this, Scott. You'll put it into tilt mode. You can just kind of lie back, and you'll just be in the zone. You know, your eyes might shut. You might just kind of glaze over, but you're there, but you're not there, man. You're in the game, you know?
Yes. Didn't that used to be like EA Sports is
in the game.
Yes, that's right.
Oh,
Absolutely.
did you see EA Sports over here getting grilled by like the House of Commons committee about their loot boxes and the fact that they're kind of addicting children to gambling? Get this, Scott. They said, no, it's not loot boxes. It's surprise mechanics.
Yes, I noticed they've been using that terminology now.
No, it's gambling. You can call it what you want. Surprise mechanics, really? No. But people are probably thinking, what are they talking about now? And it's if you're a gamer, you'll know that games have been ruined by these microtransactions. You have to buy all the latest stuff. But when you get down into like analyzing it, really it's a form of gambling. And it's targeting children under the age of 18. And I think the UK, like Belgium, are going to be saying, naughty, naughty, no more. But then what does that do for the future of gaming? I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Well, you know, look, all these game companies have done is pretty much, you know, they saw the same, they are utilizing the same research that these social media companies have done, right? And so you got your Facebooks and your Twitters and all of that. It's all dopamine driven.
Yep.
Right.
Dopamine junkies, man.
Yeah. And so
give me my
you
dopamine.
Incorporate that.
Give me my opium. Joe, do you sell opium, man? I hear that QAnon's got plenty of opium, dude. Oh, man.
You incorporate that into the game, which already triggers a dopamine response, right? You know, people like winning. You win a game or whatever, and you're like, yes, and you want to play more. And then you add into a factor kind of these random loot boxes getting dropped, and then, you know, it feels good whenever you maybe get something that's like a rare item.
See, dude, I've got no luck in the world, right? I've done it on FIFA in the past. I've bought packs. There's no bloody point. I have got no luck in the world, dude. There could be like a million good cards and one shit one. I'm going to get the one shit one. It's just guaranteed.
Yeah. And so then you add that on there, and then people go, you know what? Maybe if I throw them a little bit of coin, you know, pay a little bit of money and buy a loot box, maybe I'll get that rare
$5. Me love you a long time.
And so, you know, these game companies, they picked up on that. They know the game. They know how to play, you know, the psychological profile of people. And,
yeah,
you know, that's where we're at.
Look at Joe.
But,
look at him. Look at Joe. Look, he's needing his dopamine hit. Look, he's like,
yeah,
oh, gosh. Need my Facebook likes.
Come
on.
Look at the Uncle Kimmy. Uncle Kimmy is talking about this excellent letter. I guess pen pal Trumpy boy was writing to Uncle Kim.
Tell us more.
Oh yeah. It's pretty interesting. The Washington Times says they've been pen pals.
Nice.
And, yeah, he sent Uncle Donnie sent Kim a letter, and the White House said Sunday it's part of an ongoing correspondence between the leaders. Yeah. As a matter of fact, they didn't divulge the contents of the letter, but it seems to me that it says here, after reading the letter, the supreme leader of the party, the state and the armed forces said with satisfaction that the letter is of excellent content, like excellent, appreciating the political judging faculty and extraordinary courage of President Trump. Kim Jong-un said that he would seriously contemplate the interesting content, which nobody knows what it is. So very, very mysterious.
Everyone stand for Kim Jong-un. Oh, yeah, Kim Jong. Dude, I can't believe you look so much like him.
I know, very striking similarity. He's a very handsome man.
Very handsome dictator, indeed.
Should Kim? Okay, so here's the question: should the next emoji be Kim Jong Un,
or should it be Joda? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we could have this one, or we could. Would you like Smurfy Joe?
Very disturbing.
Yeah, we've got Smurf Joe. I think that'd be a cool emoji, dude.
Yeah. It's very Smurfy of you.
Yeah, I think that one's quite cool. We've got we could have had Popeye as Yoda.
That's not bad.
That's not a bad one. That would be a good emoji, actually.
Yeah,
I wonder.
very good.
I wonder if Whistles is still here because we could have had Whistles Yoda. In fact, we'll leave some of these up down the bottom.
He's like a kinder, gentler Yoda. You ever
think
notice
so?
that? Whistles just gives you that feeling, you know?
Or we could definitely have the Joe Monculus.
Yeah, that's definitely not an feeling. There.
Oh,
That's-
come on, man. That would be a brilliant emoji, dude.
come on, my precious.
It's a belter, Joe.
Very disturbing. The Joe Muculus.
You're building
one.
an altar to an alien Joe. It's not good.
Oh, Scott, yeah, I'm talking of alien altars. We do recommend you listen to Geordie Rose's latest
Man, yes,
authoring.
it's quite good.
Yeah, we've taught him well. We've Yoda'd him, man. Yeah.
Oh, did his
Yes, we Jedi mind tricked him into changing the way he sells his technology.
Mm-hmm.
So after he joined KBS, it kind of altered his thought process a little bit.
Well, that place he spoke back in 2013, the altar to the alien god thing, that was Idea City in Toronto. And 6 years later, he returned there. And, well, Joe, it was changed. There's nothing that can spark, not even 10 conspiracies this time, let alone 1,000.
It's the power of the Geordie Rose monobrow that really does it.
Oh, leave him alone, dude. He's that monobrow, that's got a lot of power to it, man.
It's tremendously
side-loaded
powerful
with wisdom.
Yes.
Yeah. Talking of wisdom and guests for the show and things, and Joe, this is definitely his real name, but coming on to the Kev Baker show in the next couple of weeks, we are going to be greeted by Dr. David Warmflash. And Dr. David Warmflash is an astrobiologist and a science writer. He received his MD from Tel Aviv University, Sackler School of Medicine, and has done postdoctoral work at Brandeis University, the University of Pennsylvania, and get this, the NASA Johnson Space Center. Yes, a NASA rocket scientist, no less. So there you go.
Be prepared. Be prepared.
You knew that was coming.
The
trolls are going to love that one, dude.
Yes.
Holy moly.
It's like you're going to be shilling for NASA again, Kev.
Well, he's actually wrote a book about the moon, From Ancient Myths to Colonies of Tomorrow. So what this guy doesn't know about the moon, you could write on the back of a lunar stamp. Yes.
Very good. Very good.
And it's
indeed.
definitely his real name. Definitely Baby Warmflash. Yeah, it's a common name, dude.
So for like the last 5 minutes, should we go to the chat room?
We should. Shall we jump on over there, gentle
Let's go.
ladies? Yes. And if you want to really highlight what you're saying, just put at and then the Kev Baker show or at Joe Joseph, or I'm not sure what Scott hides as on YouTube.
I would be hiding if I logged in.
Well, now that you're like now that you're all fixed up, we can look forward to much storm information, right?
Oh, yes.
Yes, absolutely. That was one of the things that really disappointed me this year was, I was dealing with all of this stuff and we ended up having one of the worst severe weather seasons that in recent history that I could remember. and me not really being able to cover that stuff the way I wanted to, just kind of, it really, it kind of broke my heart, not being able to do that.
Yeah.
So, I had a lot of projects that I wanted to work on. I wanted to launch a website. I wanted to do a lot of stuff, and I wasn't able to do it.
Distraction, huh?
Yeah, it was way too much to deal with. And so, I think by this fall, maybe by the time hurricane season starts kicking in, I'm going to be getting a lot of stuff going on. And then definitely by next year, I'm going to take this whole storm coverage thing and
Scott,
analyzing these other events.
Somebody
to
in the
next
chat's asking if you felt the earthquake. Was there one near you, dude?
Which one?
I'm
10,000 earthquakes a day now.
I'm
don't
assuming it's one near Scott, you absolute idiot.
Go to the USGS.
No, wait a minute. Let's electronically slap Joe. Which one was it? Well, obviously it was one that was close to him, you absolute shangus.
No, but I'm saying with all the fracking going on out there, he's got hundreds, if not thousands, that occur each day.
No, you're just trying to backtrack out of it, dude. You're yeah, whatever.
If we did have an earthquake around here, I didn't feel it, but for the past 2 days we've been getting a lot of thunderstorms, so some of these big booms of thunder
will shake things,
and so you don't even know if you're getting an earthquake or if you're hearing thunder around
here.
Just
had a 5.2 over in Japan, and every time I see a bloody earthquake there, I just think of the people. If that was me, I'd be off of that place. Big time.
All the buildings are built to withstand it, though.
Yeah,
minus
dude.
Yeah.
But I've seen remember that big one that done the tsunami and things, and you seen the liquefaction of the land and shit. That place, it's not got long-term future. Is my point. Those buildings are really earthquake shock resistant,
well,
but that's only good as long as the island is still above water, Joe.
It's built right on two fault lines there, so it's kind of
it's crazy, man.
Spot.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I see we're getting a bit of activity. I was reporting on an earthquake swarm in South California the other day, Scott. There was over 1,000, but now we're getting one there. 5.6. I mean, that's quite sizable.
Size, yeah.
I remember seeing this thing before my surgery that there was tar bubbling up from the ground in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Wow.
Around the tar pits area, and there was this weird kind of dare I say it, black goo bubbling up from the ground.
Imagine that.
In
there's a
in California,
one
and
now.
So that would suggest that there's some pressure building up down there.
Yeah, California was pretty bad, man.
Go to the middle of the there. Go to the middle and see if there's anything going on in
Oklahoma, Kansas. That was on the 22nd, Scott.
What was the rating on that, or what was the
4.5?
That's a pretty sizable.
Yep.
Let's see. I would have still been in the hospital, so I don't even know if I would have felt it.
And I think that's round about where the southern.
I was kind of sedated at the time, so if there was an earthquake, we also had a really bad storm move in the day after my surgery when I was still in the hospital. We watched it from the window, and it took the power out around the hospital. Of course, the hospital is on a generator.
That's pretty active for the last week, eh? Everywhere.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what kind of solar activity we've been getting.
Nothing when there was a big one last weekend when we were streaming, Scott, I think you sent me a link to it after the stream as well. It was a big one had gone off. And suspicious observers, he had talked about how the sun was starting up again, but no significant kind of uptick in the winds. And I know that because it was myself and Nancy. We had kind of had a look around to see if anything was, could have played into it. But, yeah, something weird. That Southern California area, all up that bit, I mean, if that was to get a big one, that would be absolutely horrendous. And I mean, that's a no-brainer. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's a risk of that big one all the time. But I don't know. They've almost dodged a bullet, thankfully, for all this time. You know,
they're pretty overdue for one, though. I mean, I've been saying for the past couple of years, I think this is going to happen within the next 5 to 10 years. We're going to see the big one either happen on the Cascadia subduction zone over by Oregon, or it's going to be down on the San Andreas.
Yeah,
just my gut feeling.
I think either of those two, you've got a risk of a tsunami thing happening. Then you've got that one, the new Madrid fault line as well. That's another one that they always say to keep an eye on. But talking of keeping an eye on things, we're almost out of time, folks.
Yes, indeed.
Another weekend streaming comes and goes. And tomorrow on the Kev Baker Show, I'm going to be joined by Ben Emlyn Jones. We're going to be going into the Admiral Wilson UFO document. We'll be talking about Bob Lazar, who was on Joe Rogan at the weekend. Next weekend, we're also going to be talking about Area 51 with Charlie Robinson.
Yeah, man, that's awesome to have him on.
Yeah, we're going to be like the four horsemen of the non-apocalypse. So Tuesday on the Kev Baker Show, we're going to be sticking on UFOs, that type of thing, but coming at it from a completely different belief system angle, because Tradcat Knight, Eric Gajewski, he's going to be joining me. And Eric, like I say, he's a traditional Catholic knight, so he looks at things from kind of that perspective. And then on Wednesday, one I'm really looking forward to, and I'll just pull this up here before we go. And so yeah, here we go. On Wednesday, I'm going to be joined by this lady here, Pippa King, up the top, and she just done a TED Talk on smart cities and the surveillance state. And my show was one of the first shows she came to speak on a couple of years ago, and she was ever so nervous, ever so kind of apprehensive about speaking in front of people, and now there she is.
Look at Kev. That's awesome.
Doing TED Talks. So she's going to be on Wednesday night. That's going to be absolutely brilliant. She's not speculating about smart cities. She does the Freedom of Information requests. She gets all of the official documents, all of the stuff that's going on way before we ever find out about it in public. She goes into how school kids over here from preschool are having their biometrics taken and where that data is stored, how safe is it, all that kind of good stuff. So I can't wait to get into that. And with that said, everyone, we are out of here. We'll be back next week for another bit of streaming.
Another exciting edition.
Yeah, a bit of a KBS streaming experience at the weekend, George.
Very good indeed, yes.
And there's Joe's robo-porn music on. Vajanko #1. Dear Lord.
Just so you guys know. The foot is currently being molded at the Vajanko facility.
At the Vajanko factory.
And testing will commence.
That's why Popeye couldn't make it tonight. He was busy testing it, wasn't he?
For you, yeah. Probably so.
Popeye. We're out of here, folks. Later.